From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.
Good morning. This is Craig Allison with your Morning Pulse for Wednesday, February 4th. Before we get into our local headlines, our six biggest of the morning, we'll give you the question of the day. Here it is. You'll spend close to 40 hours a year staring at this. What is it? I myself said traffic lights. It always feels like an eternity, but the answer this morning was refrigerator. So if you want to put in your guesses and have them read out on air, be sure to head over to the 1011 Facebook page where we choose off guesses to be read off during the morning show and the answer at the end of 1011 this morning. But that being said, let's get you the six biggest headlines from this morning, starting things off with our first story. It's a case we've been following closely for over the past week. A pregnant woman, Hannah Neville, and her husband, Roberto Tanner, disappearing. Hannah's car found engulfed in flames in Lincoln just a day after they were both last seen. Authorities tell us they believe both were murdered, but much of the information needed to move forward with the investigation, including the location of the couple, still being pieced together. Lincoln police say they're using digital evidence, tips, and statements to help find areas of interest. One of those areas of interest just north of Malmo. It's where law enforcement spent much of yesterday searching. Records show Tanner lived in the area, and sheriff's deputies from Saunders, Lancaster, York, and Polk were also out there to assist officers in the search.
And we're going to make sure that we do our due diligence in that location. We might be here for a couple days just because it's a very large area. We have numerous people walking through there, members of the Lincoln Police Department. In fact, our academy's out there walking.
Now, the two that you could see here who have been arrested in connection to the case are Tanner's half-brother, 24-year-old Sterling James, and his wife, 22-year-old Sadie Titus. LPD says they'll continue searching for the bodies of Neville and Tanner. Investigators are also working to uncover a potential motive behind the killing, a weapon, and location where it may have initially happened. Your second story, and happening today, members of the Lincoln community are coming together to search for another missing person. The family of Harrison Schervers says he disappeared 1 week ago. They say he went missing after leaving his apartment on the morning of January 28th. He was scheduled to work that morning but never showed up, and his phone has been turned off since. Now, Harrison is 28 years old, 5'10", and around 160 pounds. He was last seen wearing a navy blue suit with a black tie, driving a navy blue Ford Edge. If you have any information, please call LPD, and also 1011 will be at the search this afternoon, so we'll keep you updated as those efforts continue. So be sure to stay with us at the 1011 Now app. Your third story, Governor Pillen is asking for applications to serve on the Nebraska Medical Cannabis Commission. He accepted Chairwoman Dr. Monica Oldenburg's resignation from the commission yesterday. Cannabis commissioners are appointed to 6-year terms. So far, though, 3 of the 5 original appointees have resigned before serving even 1 year. In September, Bruce Bailey and Kim Lowe resigned from their posts on the Medical Cannabis and Liquor Commission. This came after former executive director Howard Roop was indicted on federal fraud charges. Moving over to your fourth story, how much should the government be involved in your healthcare decisions? Nebraska senators again debating a bill that would change consent requirements for abortion providers. Supporters say it would be protection against domestic violence and human trafficking, but opponents question what they're calling ambiguous language. Supporters testified last year that said LB 669 would protect women from being coerced into abortions, and cited studies claiming 67% of women didn't want their abortion. Now, the study was from the Charlotte Lozier Institute, a research group backed by Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America. The use of alleged misleading research is a sticking point for opponents, like some medical providers and advocates, saying their highly trained staff already screened for DV and trafficking as required by Nebraska law.
What's in the statute is actually very superficial. It's very, it's equivalent to kind of checking a box, but then you're also putting the patient in a position of potentially not disclosing because you're also requiring that they sign off on that.
The bill is still in the first round of debate, which reconvenes this morning. It will need a majority of votes before it moves on to the next phase. Shocking story, and just realizing we had the flipped graphics. So this right here that you're now seeing is from our second story this morning. Sorry about that, folks. And this right here is the missing man, Harrison Schurers, that disappeared 1 week ago. That was from our second story this morning. Flipping that around, I'm going to now pull up the graphic for our next upcoming story on our fifth docket this morning. But this is Harrison and what he looks like, as well as his description. Also on your screen, that number 402-441-6000 being the number to call Lincoln Police with if you are able to or have any tips about his whereabouts. Now, sorry about that. We're now flipping things over to this crazy story that you may have already heard about and you've already seen on your screen for those of you watching this morning. This happened. 70 cats have been removed from a Northeast Lincoln home after an annual inspection. Lincoln Animal Control did a multi-cat household permit inspection at a home last Friday where they found several violations. Officers and the Capital Humane Society took several days to remove the cats from the home, but CHS believes there still may be more inside. Every animal has since been taken to the Humane Society for vet care. In a social media post, the shelter says they are at 100% capacity and any donation will make a difference. We'll be speaking with the Humane Society later this afternoon about how they're dealing with this sudden surge of intakes. If you're looking to bring a furry friend home, though, this weekend, all adoption fees are half off. Now on to your final story this morning, your sixth and final story. One Seward bookstore is reacting after they reopened their doors for the first time since August. Storm back about 6 months ago damaged the roof of the building, causing them to temporarily relocate. At first, it looked like there might have been some structural damage to the building, but luckily, an engineer confirmed it was just the roof taking a blow. To keep people safe while working was being done, the store relocated, but just yesterday, the store reopened the doors of the original location alongside with a few upgrades.
It's just impossible to do work when books are in here with, so this was the opportunity to do it. It looked like this huge problem, and it was a huge problem, and it's been a long process, but to take that problem and find an opportunity in it so that at the end of the day, we feel like we are at a better place than we began, that was what we felt like we should do.
Owner Kelly Limback tells us there is all new flooring and the walls are repainted. The storefront is fully open, but the back area is still being worked on and will be open in the near future. That's going to be your morning pulse for this Wednesday morning. Sorry for all the technical difficulties there on the graphics for our 70 cats and missing man story. Let's just do that one more time with our missing person story. Right here, there again, just switched it up again. But yes, right there is the picture of Harrison as well as his description. 28 years old, 5'10", around 160 pounds. This being said, we're going to throw to our 7-day forecast before tossing things over to Brandon Rector.
Good Wednesday morning, meteorologist Brandon Rector with you in the 1011 Severe Weather Center. We are going to be mainly cloudy across much of central and eastern Nebraska as we go through this morning. There's also a 20% chance of some flurries, isolated snow showers, maybe even some freezing drizzles. So there may be some isolated slick spots to deal with. Our winds will pick up out of the northwest to around 10 to 20 miles per hour late morning, continuing into the afternoon. Our clouds should decrease during the afternoon, so becoming mostly sunny to partly cloudy. Then the clouds increase again as we make our way through tonight. Temperatures at noon in the low 30s to mid 40s. Will be in the mid 30s to low 50s at 4, and by 8 this evening in the mid 20s to upper 30s. In Lincoln for today, warming up to 37, which is what we average for high temperature on February 4th. There is that small chance of some precipitation through the morning.
From the 1011 Now Alert Center, this is Morning Pulse.